Hi guys, I wanted to share with you a couple of new features in Business Central version 22, which may be of interest, especially to the financial people out there. So the first is an option called allow review, should I say. If you go into your chart of accounts, I've got my sales accounts filtered here. Select an account and you'll find a new field here called review policy. It's on the general tab. And there are three options: none, which is obviously, that's the default. And then there is allow review and allow review and match balance, which I'll explain in a moment. So I'm going to select allow review on this account. If I then go into the list of transactions on the account, you'll find there is a new option here on the menu, review entries. Click on that. Same list of transactions, but now what I can do is I can select one or more of these entries, like so. And I go here and I say set selected as reviewed. And this does two things. The first thing you'll see, it pops in a name and the date over there, and then it ticks these off. So the purpose behind this feature is to allow you to do a kind of very basic recon of your GL entries. Typical example of where you would use this might be on something like a clearing account, like a common use might be a fixed assets clearing account, where you do your initial purchase through a purchase order of a fixed asset to a GL clearing account, and then perhaps a different person like the asset controller would be responsible for transferring that into the actual fixed assets register and doing the acquisition, and the two entries should cancel out. So what this would allow you to do is to go through those transactions at the end of the month and tick them off. Now, I mentioned that there are two options on this. This is what I've used here, is the pure just review the transactions. So it's allowing me to tick them off. The other option, which is to review and match, works a little differently. So what that does is the transactions that I select would have to cancel each other out. So for example, these two entries here at the top would cancel out. If I used the review and match option, it will not allow me to select transactions that do not balance out to zero. If I made a mistake and I ticked something that I shouldn't, I can simply do the reverse. So I can select the transaction and then say set selected as not reviewed. And once I have marked some transactions, I can then do the following. I can say show me only the reviewed transactions, or hide them, in which case show me the ones that are not reviewed, or I can obviously then show all entries. So this is a very nice quick little feature to be able to tick off transactions as being checked, inspected, reviewed, or whatever terminology you want to use. Okay, I think that's the first feature done. So another new feature in version 22 is an analysis mode, and this is kind of like a pivot table on screen. So where we are used to having to push data into Excel, typically a list of transactions or something similar, and then fiddle around and do pivot tables and so on with them, we can do some of this now without actually leaving the application. First thing you need to know, if you don't see this on the screen, if you don't see this little button on your screens, your list views, go to Feature Management and make sure that this option is turned on, Feature Preview Analysis Mode. It needs to be set up for all users. So do that first. Then use preferably something like a transaction view. So I've selected here my customer ledger entries. First thing I need to do is turn the mode to analysis mode, and you'll see it immediately creates for me my first view. Let's give it a name. We can rename that later, so let's just leave it as it is for now. Then on the right here you will see two little buttons, columns and analysis filters. Step number one Go and clear your screen of anything that you don't really want to see, because there's a lot of stuff here that I'm not really interested in. So you can use this very quickly to hide fields that you're not interested in. Okay, I'm going to take quite a few of these out. Also some of my financial entries. I'll leave sales. I will leave remaining amount LCY and amount LCY. I don't want all these other things. Project code I don't want. Okay, that should do me for now. So let's say that we want to summarize this data by year. So I'm going to turn off the posting date and I'm going to turn on posting date year. Fantastic. I also want to do subtotals for that. So what I've done now is I've displayed the year. Within the year, I've got all my normal columns, but I don't have the full date. But I want to now summarize that. So 2 ways to do this. On the field itself, there's a little button here. I can click on there and I can say group posting date. So now my data is summarized, kind of like a subtotal view in Excel, which you may be familiar with. Click on there and it expands it. Let's say we want to further analyze that by quarter. So I want to go from the year to the quarter. So I will take this second way of doing this. I will take this here. I've turned it on and I'm going to drag it and I'm going to put it over here. That is the equivalent of doing it on the column itself. So now if I click on my expand button, I will have this broken down by quarter. Then I want to see what I've done on document types. So I can go here, click on that, and group by document type. So now when I drill in quarter, in this quarter I have got 19 invoices, and there they are. Over here, let's see, I've got some invoices, some credit notes, some refunds, and some payments. So far so good. I think that's pretty cool. Just going to pause there for. So continuing, what I can also do is I can do a pivot, so different combinations of information. And to do that, the first thing I will do is I will turn on the pivot mode. So under these tabs on the side here, turn on the pivot mode. I have removed quite a lot of my financial data. It doesn't look that different to what it did before, but let's just go and add some column labels. So let's say I want to pivot that by what can we use that makes sense here? Let's say by document type. So hover over the little block there, little dots, and drag that down to the column labels over here. Let go. And now you'll see that I have got my credit notes, I've got my invoices, and I've got my payments. And as you would do with Excel, I could go and select another option. So let's see, maybe my currency code, drop that down there. And now I have got 2 levels. So if I click here, it will show me, there's my credit memos, some with local currency, I'm assuming, and a couple with euros. Collapse that. Invoice, same thing. And those are your pivots tables. Now you can also try out using filters. So if I click here, I can now go and set more filters. So a little bit easier than normal ones, so more intuitive, greater than, equal, not equal, etc. And put in a value there. So kind of similar to normal list views, but perhaps a little closer to the way Excel works. And similarly, if we go back here, let's maybe simplify this a little bit, take out our remaining. Say I'm trying to analyze my sales. What you could change this to, you can also change, this is now summing, which is the default function. What I can do is I can change that. So click on there, and you'll see I've got min, max, sum, and average. So let's say I want to look at what was my average sales for that range that I've got selected, or let's change that to what was the maximum sales for the period, or also just as useful often is to know how much was the count of those transactions. So there are a whole bunch of things that you can do with your data without ever having to leave Business Central and go to Excel. The last thing I want to show you is you can now save this. So I probably will want to use this again. So I can simply say rename it, and we'll call it Sales Analysis by Year. And I could now go click here and start a new view and manipulate it, add whatever groupings, filters, columns, and so on I want. Save that with a different name. And if you were quick, you might have also seen another cute option, which is to say duplicate. So if I want to do a new analysis, maybe based on this, but adding another pivot column or something like that, I don't have to start from scratch. I can simply duplicate. And now I can go and edit this and change it to suit myself. So I think this is a really, really nice, powerful new feature. It works on any list view. So I happen to have used a list of customer transactions. It will also work on other list views such as items or vendors or customers or anything that is master data related. If you like it, perhaps it's time to think about doing an upgrade if you are running on an older version. This is only available from version 22. I think that's enough for today. We'll see you again soon. Cheers.